Hi everyone, and welcome to our new study on women in the book of the Bible. And this next 5 weeks we are going to focus on Jesus' lineage. And today our first woman in the lineage of Jesus is Tamar. And Tamar's story we find in Genesis, right in the middle of Joseph's story. Now, we all know Joseph's story. Joseph is the one that was really spoiled by his father, given a coat by his father, and he was sort of despised by his brothers because of his haughtiness, shall I say. And we know Joseph's story, that he was, sold into slavery by his brothers and ended up in the house of Pharaoh, and how he just excelled at every point and how God was with him the whole time. But you know what? The funny thing is that in the middle of Joseph's story, you find Tamar's story. And throughout our Facebook Bible study, I'm going to, with the YouTube videos, look at how we can see Jesus within the stories of these women who are his great-grandmothers. And I find it interesting that Tamar is in the middle of Joseph's story because Joseph is not the one that is included in Jesus' lineage, but Tamar and Judah is. And neither Judah nor Tamar were exceptionally godly people. Judah basically gave Tamar to his son to marry. And when his son passed away, he gave her by law to the other son so that his lineage could continue, so that his bloodline could continue. And obviously, somewhere in this whole story, God's story is unfolding because God knew from the start which line the Messiah would come from. And it is from the line of Judah that the Messiah came, not the line of Joseph. So for me, this is very encouraging because it says to me that it doesn't matter what your history is, or if you're even in history, it wasn't necessary for the people that God chose to be very impressive in any way. I mean, it would have been made sense for us if Joseph was the one who was Jesus' great-grandfather, because he was a godly man and his faith was tested and proven. But here we find Tamar and Judah, and their story echoes more something as, that of human failure, shall I say. But you know what, despite of our own failures, and despite of our own shortcomings, and despite the fact that Judah did not fulfill his promise to Tamar, which caused Tamar to take matters into her own hands, we can rest assured that God is the one who is absolutely in control and who holds history in his hands. And especially his lineage and the lineage of the Messiah. Because even though our worlds and our stories might be quite chaotic, there's this thin thread of grace that runs through, where God is in control. And it reminds me of that verse in Romans chapter 8 that says, "And God works for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes." So rest assured that God will fulfill his purposes in spite and despite of our shortcomings and failures. I hope you're encouraged by Tamar's story as well. Goodbye.